Hi everyone, Lober here with a short little screencast to help you figure out how to apply a map to your classroom. This presentation will look pretty similar to part A at the beginning. I'll just show you how to access the data in case that's more relevant to you. And then we'll show you some different ways that you can use that and some different thoughts you might be able to use that in your classroom. So first thing you need to do is go to teach.mapwnea.org and you'll be brought to a splash page that looks like here. Username should be your Madison School's email address. And your password should have been emailed to you already. If you don't have it, use your forget password link. And once you click submit, you'll be brought to a splash page that looks like this. So once you're here, you'll have a few options available to you. You're going to spend most of your time here on the left side. One of the big reasons the map is useful is it helps you to differentiate your instruction. So if you're using your guided watcher or guided notes, you'd want to fill that in. It helps you differentiate. The most important report you'd want to use, and that's most useful for that, is your class breakdown report. So you'll want to come here. You'll filter out what you need to, depending on what time of year it is. Choose a class, and you want to filter your class breakdown by goal. From here, you'll be able to choose a subject that's most useful to you. For me, most relevant to social studies will be reading, but obviously choose something that makes sense to what you're attempting to teach and show growth in. Alright, and from here you're brought to a screen that shows you a bunch of different information. Across the top you'll have the different RIP bands or different scoring ranges your students have fallen in. Down the side you'll have the 3 individual goals that your students fall into as well. Clicking on either a band or a goal will take you to what's called the learning continuum or Descartes. You'll probably hear me call it Descartes for the rest of the presentation, but the two can be used interchangeably. So say for example I see I have a large concentration of my students here in this 201 to 210 range. By clicking on that RIP band, right, it'll bring me to a condensed version of Descartes. Knowing that I want my focus in social studies especially might be informational text, I can then drop down and look at key ideas and details. And once that expands, as I scroll down, well first let's back up. Once that expands, I can see at each RIP range what skills a student should be able to perform. And then I scroll down on the right side, I'll be able to see which students are at which RIP band and what abilities they'll be able to perform. Generally speaking, if a student here is in 191 to 200, they should have mastered at least 75 to 80% of the skills in 181 to 190, and they're ready for those kind of things to do with independent practice or homework. If they're scoring at a level between, in this case, between 191 and 200, those are things that they are should be able to complete with at least 50% accuracy, and those are things that they would probably need direct support from you in order to be able to learn or do well with. And scores just above their RIP band, so in this case 201 to 210 from the last group, those are things that are probably a little challenging for them at the moment and might be more appropriate toward the end of the instructional cycle just prior to the next time you give the map test. So those are some things they'll need some extra scaffolding to accomplish. All right. So from here, I can see where students are placed throughout the RIP bands, and I can have a good idea of what they're able to do. Differentiating my students and figuring out where they are, particularly in, if I go back to my class reports, so differentiating my students and knowing where they are helps me do a few things. If it's appropriate to my instruction to have mixed ability groups, I can generally divide my groups, say between a low, medium, and high group, and I might have students work on that with a particular task. I could also divide them up into equal ability groups, so I might have all my low students together working on a task. I might work with all my middle level students on a task while these guys are working independently on something else, or same wise or likewise for the high students. So just to recap, being able to sort students by this will let you see them either by lets you help group them rather into equal ability groups or mixed ability groups as appropriate to whatever it is you're choosing to do. So the important thing, and probably the most important to you for figuring out how to um, use these scores and this data in your classroom, is figuring out some resources that can help you out. And so at the bottom in Roman numeral number 3, I've given you a few resources that you can use to help digest this information. So for example, for math, I've used this website from this district here, which has sorted out some math activities already that you're more than welcome to obviously take a look at and implement for your classroom. For the same website also has things for reading as well that you might want to take a look at. But what might be particularly useful, because Descartes can be a little cumbersome to read, is these actual learning ladders, which puts everything together in one place for you. So say for example I want to investigate reading and I want to see where all my students are with this. If I know where my students are writ-wise, I can kind of use sticky notes and kind of place them on this learning ladder so I can see what it is I need to be working on with them. So say for example, if I'm trying to boost students from 191 to 200 up to the next RIP band, what I can do is kind of use these skills as a checklist. Have I taught students these? Have I worked with these on them? Have they done well with it? And if so, let's cross it off, because I know they're probably ready to move up to the next competency rather above that. So these are great differentiation activities. It's great for maybe a workshop type setting where you have students working in centers or stations, where you might have your low RIT students working on something, your high RIT students working on something, or you might have it so they're working with the same level of text, but doing different things with it as appropriate to their ability. For example, whether your low RIT students might just be finding main ideas in a text, while your higher RIT students are looking for main ideas, supporting details, and higher RIT students are doing something even more complex than that. So there's a few ideas you can work with through differentiation. This For Idaho Teachers does a really good job of condensing Descartes into something that's more manageable. And I would highly suggest you print that and use that as a reference for figuring out where exactly your students are and where they need instruction. So there is that much. At the moment, I don't have any resources to give for science, but I will keep on the lookout for them. And that is that. So to recap, you've got students listed up here. You have different ways to group them out and different resources to help remediate them or move them up, grow to the next score level. And that's really what MAP is all about. It helps you differentiate, to meet students where they're at, and really when it comes to evaluation, student growth, giving them those sort of enrichment activities, meeting them where they're at, and helping them on to the next RIP band is going to be the most likely way to be successful with any MAP goals you might have made for your evaluation goals. So there is that much. Please let me know if you have any questions or want to talk about how a workshop model might work in your classroom. I've used it before, and I found it beneficial in increasing MAP scores, and so we can talk more about that at your leisure. In any case, that is what I have for you here. Please go ahead and fill out any blanks you might be missing, and go ahead and talk with your partner or use this resource as you need to. Have a good day.